Welcome back. Today we're focusing on the Lotus 87 chassis. This is the car that raced in the 1981 Italian Grand Prix. The first time I saw this livery was at Christmas when I was about 6 years old. I received an electric race car set, and one of the cars was this beautiful black and gold livery, and it's been one of my favorite ever since. Now this particular chassis does have the X on the side of it. The one that I had did not, but this livery was on several different iterations of Formula One cars, or several different generations, I should say. This model is by Tecnomodel. It is an Italian company. The packaging is pretty nice. The model itself comes on a wood and felt base, and it does also have a metal plaque with all the information on it. Enjoy the review. This is the Lotus 87 1981 John Player Special Essex, Italy Grand Prix. And as I've mentioned already, the John Player Special livery on any Formula One car from the 80s has always been my favorite. Just this distinctive black and gold. This one has an Essex sponsorship, which is a little bit different, and it does kind of take away from the overall presentation. So I wouldn't say this is my favorite John Player Special version, but it's definitely up there because I do like the chassis itself, the design of it, the way it looks. The overall detail on this model is good. So let's just start with the wheels. They're pretty nicely detailed. They have pretty much what I would expect out of a Formula One car of this era. Tecnomodel does a really good job with their wheels. There's no sign of a valve stem on these wheels, but I do like the casting. Looks like it's real metal, so the paint that they used on it is very, very good. That goes for the rear as well. The scripting on the tires is very good, and the tires do have some sense of realness to them, as is the way they sit on this platform. Just going over the paint or finish, I'm going to say it's good. And so something that I've noticed on this model right away as I took it out of the box is again, this being this beautiful black and gold. So if you look at this nose up here, you can see that glossy, beautiful paint throughout. And it is beautiful. But for these larger areas, this front wing, the side pod here, what Tecnomodel did is they laid out basically a decal that fills in this entire area. Now, I'm not suggesting that maybe the actual car wasn't done that way, but I doubt it. And so what that does is it takes away from this beautiful glossy paint. It's almost a mismatch here. So that is kind of a disappointment because you have this very nice gloss here, and it's pretty flat here. So it's just something I noticed, and that's on the wing as well. But the printing of the decals themselves are very, very good. The color is pretty spot on to the real thing. So moving on to the back of this model. There's a lot of great detail in the back of this model. Even though this is a non-opening resin model, I like the fact that as you look deeper into and explore all the bits and pieces in the back of this model, even though it's hidden, if you can look underneath the covers here and still see that the detail continues. It just doesn't stop there. It goes all the way through, which is really nice. It's something I didn't expect, and it's a pleasant surprise. The exhaust outlets are deep enough so they do give a sense of realism in that they are somewhat hollow. They're not hollow all the way through, but they're acceptable enough that you're not disappointed when it's just a plastic piece. Now the finish on the exhaust is a little questionable, and I'm saying that because this gold on here, I'm very sure that the real thing doesn't necessarily look like that. It wouldn't be chromed, but this does not look convincingly enough as if it's a metal piece to me. Just moving on to the front of the model. And you have this beautiful paint, this outline. And as you can see, it's very even. The number's in the right place as it should be. The tires are scrubbed, which is a very, very nice feature. As we dive in closer, this model, as you can see, the seats is a nice piece. It gives a sense of softness. I like the photo etched seat belts, and they are a stitched seat belt. It's very nicely done. The gauges are nice and clear. If you look further down, you can see that the pedals are all there. That'd be the gas, clutch, and brake. You have the shifter knob on the side there. The suspension is very basic, as you can see. So nothing really outstanding there. That is pretty accurate to how the actual car is. My only real criticism is that I think the A-arms, for example, do not look as if they're metal. They look like plastic pieces to me. You see no bolts or anything on these A-arms. It's just a molded piece. Just moving to the back. Those intakes, I should say, those individual throttle bodies, very nicely done. As I mentioned before, you can see that even though this is hidden behind this cover here, the detail still is there. It continues through. So I do like that. You can see more of that through the back of the car as well. And further down. And further down. Again, you see the rear suspension there, and it's very nice until you get to the very top of it, where again there is no bolts there. The yep, our arms here are definitely plastic, so a little disappointing there, but you can tell there was a lot of work put into the detail of this model. And it's something to definitely take in and enjoy. Just a closer look at those wheels. You can see the brake rotors behind there, as well as the brake caliper. Move to the front. You can see it there as well. The side pods. Just a nice photo etched side pod. And this is your Lotus 87 1981 JPS Essex Italy Grand Prix. Well, I hope you enjoyed the review of this 87 Lotus chassis. Tecnomodel did a really good job on this particular model. As I mentioned, this model is from Italy, and if you've been around models as long as I have, you tend to realize that anything that comes from Italy is going to be priced a little bit higher. The only reason I mention that is that this model retails anywhere from $289 US. I've seen them as high as $320 US. So depending on what retailer, what resource you use to purchase these, that's where your range of pricing is going to be. So when you think about models like BBR, you're kind of in that territory. But BBR does not make too many classic Formula One cars, and if they did, they would be Ferraris only anyway. GP Replica comes to mind because their cars are priced around the same amount as well, so that is something to take in consideration. I'm bringing this up because this is a very good model, but the details of this model are definitely not up to par as said the BBR or the GP Replicas. Now, of course, it's going to depend on the subject matter because some of Tecnomodel's cars are really, really nicely detailed, but the most of them, like I say, kind of land in the space of what you saw today. There are a lot of hidden details underneath the coverings, even though this was not a fully opening model, and I really liked that. I really liked that the detail continued through the model. As far as value appreciation, well, you have to take in consideration that Tecnomodel is producing a lot of models that nobody is making. GP Replicas has some of these models in their catalog, but definitely not all of them. So you're getting something that's very unique. So I'm going to give this model actually a 3 stars. And I say actually because, again, you're paying quite a bit initially, so that value appreciation has to catch up a little bit with how much you purchase this model for. And I'm saying that because I guarantee if you bought this at full retail today and tried to sell it tomorrow on eBay or any other type of auction site, you're probably not going to get back the amount of money you invested into it. So it is going to take some time for this to grow in value. Just something to keep in mind. But if you're looking for something unique and you cannot find it anywhere, the Tecnomodel is going to be the one to go to. Look for our next video that should be coming a lot sooner than this one. Had a little delay for some other reasons. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time.